Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
I'm going to put my screen up here. Hold on. All right, welcome to Talking Grit. This is our NFL pod. We're going to have, we talk about Lions here too, but we kind of talk about the rest of the NFL too. And then I certainly do our grit picks. Doing it a day later because yesterday Jacob went to the Pistons game. He ended up getting some free tickets. I ended up getting free tickets for the Red Wings today. Just coincidence that we ended up getting that. Both good games that we both got to saw, both winning. It's awesome that all four of our teams looking like playoff teams, which is awesome. First time in my life that's ever happened. I'm fairly confident. So I love it, and I'm all for it. So all right, I know we're doing this late, Jacob. It is almost midnight, so we need to get rolling in here. Let's before we go, I guess you can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Obviously, follow us on Twitter at Talking Grit Pod. Please like and subscribe. We are one away, Jacob. I don't know if you looked. One away from 1,800 subscribers on YouTube. We are at 1,799 right now. Maybe by the end of this pod, we'll be at 1,800. But if you're listening to this and haven't subscribed, do us a favor and do that. Hit the notification. That way you know when we go live, and we love to have people chat with us. So, Jacob, why don't you run us through what's going on with the NFC North?
All right. NFC North, it's a tight race. So we are back on top. The Lions are currently number one in the NFC North with a 6-3 record. Just to run down upcoming opponents for us, we obviously have the Eagles coming up, a big game Sunday night. And then we play the Giants, the Packers, and the Cowboys. So that's what the next month looks like for us. Following us right behind, the Bears. They're 6-3 right now as well. Their 6-3 looks way different than our 6-3. They just recently had another comeback win where Jackson Dart got hurt, and then they came back and beat the Giants. Doesn't get easier for the Bears. Upcoming opponents for them, they play at Minnesota. Then they play the Steelers. Then they have to play at the Eagles and at the Packers. So Bears have some tough games coming up. And then in third, the almighty Green Bay Packers.
Say it again. And in third, I like this.
Third place, Green Bay Packers. Especially after hearing all that talk from their fans about the 1 seed and this and that. And, they just haven't looked very impressive. They lost the Eagles on Monday Night Football, which was actually back-to-back losses at Lambeau. So that's tough for them to take. Upcoming opponents, their next game is going to be at the Giants, who obviously the Giants are struggling. The Giants have been kind of up and down, but the Giants have Jameis Winston starting this week. He's a very good leader. He's one that can kind of rally these guys together. He may throw for 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, or they may not score any points. So that game got more interesting with Jameis playing rather than Russell Wilson, though.
Yes.
But then the Packers also have to play the Vikings at home. Then they go to Detroit and play us, and then they play the Bears. So a lot of divisional opponents coming up for the Packers. And then in last place right now, the Vikings are 4-5. They just recently lost to the Ravens. They have the Bears at home, then at Green Bay, then at Seattle Seahawks, and then home against the Commanders. So kind of back and forth, up and down the rest of the way for the Vikings as far as difficulty goes, on paper anyway. But, I mean, it's a fight. It's going to be a fight to the end, it looks like.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some separation you're going to get in these next 4 weeks, especially with the Bears schedule. The Packers better pick it up, or they're going to fall. They're going to find themselves falling way behind. I don't know what's going to happen with the Giants. I think we play them in 2 weeks. I feel pretty comfortable, about our chances in that game. But the Jameis Winston factor, you're right, is interesting because I'm so glad that Russell Wilson's not playing against them because he just looks like he's checked out. He's done. The team doesn't like as soon as he went in that game against the Bears, I knew that was a loss. Like the offense
yeah.
just stopped moving. It looked terrible. Yeah,
It was that Waterboy thing where they're like, "Oh no, we suck again."
yeah, exactly. It was terrible, man. So yeah, we're gonna see some separation, I think, in the next 4 weeks. I like our chances a lot. This is a tough game that we have coming up on Sunday. If you haven't listened to our preview pod, go ahead and listen to that. We had JC Sports on, and it was a fun conversation. So check that out. But yeah, I think you're going to see some separation pretty soon. And, Lions Bears have the same record. If only we knew what the outcome would be if we played each other. Oh,
Right? Can
wait,
you
we do.
imagine?
Yeah, week 2, right? Yeah,
I bet it'd
because
be pretty
we saw
close.
it.
Huh?
So the 6 and 3s are not equal, in my opinion. But they as of right now we're tied at the top. Obviously, we have the tiebreaker right now. All right, Jacob. Let's broaden our scope here. We talked about the NFC North. Let's talk about NFC playoff picture because this is, there's definitely time to move, especially seeds or move in and out of the playoffs. But I think right now we're gonna start seeing some playoff pushes, right? We're gonna, we talked about the NFC North, the next 4 games. We're gonna start seeing some separation. So I'll run through really quick the seeding as of right now. Eagles are number 1 seed at 7-2. Seahawks, who in my opinion are playing probably the best football in the NFC on both sides of the ball. They're at 7-2. The Lions 6-3. Feeling much better about them now. The Dan Campbell's calling, and we're going to see. We played the Commanders. Was that a fluke thing against that defense? We're going to play a better defense against the Eagles Sunday Night Football. If Dan Campbell and we have similar results against the Eagles, watch out because oh man, our power rankings will explode and we'll be good. After the Lions, you got the Bucks also at 6-3. The Rams are the 5th seed, but they are 7-2. But because of the Seahawks, must have a tiebreaker. They're at 2. So they would be the 5th seed. The Bears are actually the 6th seed at 6-3, and the Packers, basically went from the 1 seed all the way down to the 7th seed. Within a 2-week time, losing to the Panthers and the Eagles, and now they're all the way down to the 7th seed with that ugly tie, 5-3-1 record. And just on the outside, you had the 49ers at 6-4, the Panthers at 5-5, and the Vikings at 4-5. There's other teams on there, and they technically are not out of the playoffs, but they'd have to go on they're going to have to go on a run, and someone's going to have to drop out. So my
Technically,
first
you could
question
flip
to you,
all
Jake,
these around, right? Like it's still like only at the midway point. These teams could all be flipped around. We could have all different teams. We're
yes,
not going to. Based on the body of work that we've seen so far, it's not,
yeah, we could revisit this in 4 weeks, and the list will look totally different, and we might have a different feel on some of these teams. Maybe,
it could,
but
is the point. It could.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, these other teams, like the Cowboys, are not mathematically eliminated. I mean, the offense is good enough. It's whether the defense. Now they did trade for Quinn and Williams, so you could see them on a run too. They're going to lose in a few weeks when they play us, but I don't know what they're going to do. Against these other teams. So Jacob, on this list of in the playoff picture, biggest surprise. You could either do surprise that they're doing poorly, or surprise they're doing well. So on this list, who is surprising you the most?
So I've got 2 teams. The first one I just want to point out, just because if we're going off of this list right now, is the Panthers, right? So I mean, I had the Panthers finishing 5-12, and they're already at 5 wins right now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the offense has not been very good. The defense has kept them in games, and their 5 wins haven't come against great teams. Their only really noteworthy one was against Green Bay, who had been terrible. So, I would say it's surprising to me at this point that the Panthers are even knocking on the door on the outside, and 5-5. That's a realistic chance. They would need the Buccaneers to fall apart, but they they're not mathematically eliminated. They're not out of it right now. And I kind of thought at this point that they'd probably only be sitting at 1 or 2 wins. I didn't think they would be at 5-5. So that's who I had as the biggest surprise. Who did you have?
Mine is the Seahawks. I got to be at 7-2. I think I had them similarly winning like 5 games, and they're already at 7. I think there's no way to anticipate for me like Sam Darnold doing as well as he has thus far, and JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I obviously didn't anticipate him like just running away with the receiving yardage. Like I think he's like over 100 yards more than the next guy. So
yeah,
didn't expect that connection to be so prolific. And their defense is playing well. I mean, they're just a really good team right now. Like I said, I'm glad that we don't face them in the regular season, and I hope they get eliminated for the playoffs because they could give us some trouble. I could see them, giving us a big run for the money, especially if we have to go to Seattle and play. If we play in Detroit, I feel pretty good about that, but go to Seattle, they always give us trouble, right? That's like one of our nemesis. We got by them last year on Monday night, but they still gave us a dogfight the whole way through. So I think Seattle is the obvious answer at 7-2. I would say the Packers are surprising in the sense that this is kind of how I thought they were going to play coming into this year, because I just still think Jordan Love is the guy. And so if you'd tell me this record like before the season, 5-3-1, I'd be like, okay, yeah. But the way they come out and beat us, and then that Thursday night, and then getting Micah Parsons, like all that, coming together was like, oh no, this is going to be a team that's we're going to have to really keep an eye on. But they have not played well recently, and that Monday night game was just two coaches that really didn't want to win that game. I don't know what they were doing at the end of that game, but I was screaming at my TV because I'm a Lions fan and I wanted the Packers to lose, and Nick Sirianni kept making or Nick Sirianni making stupid decisions, or Jalen Hurts is making stupid decisions based on whatever the rumors are out there. But that's
the
where
rumor
I'm at,
that Jalen Hurts wanted to throw the ball at the end like that, and like I mean, what
the rumor is that Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, kind of went rogue on that. And they talking with JC yesterday when I asked him about it, said that they've had a history of doing that. And so like I don't know, like number one, I don't know for sure that that's true. That's a rumor that's out there. I'm gonna listen to JC, the Eagles guy, because he's probably following beat writers and stuff local that probably have better insight than a national guy. But whether they went rogue on like maybe they were supposed to do a different, like maybe the play was designed to go shorter, like and try to get that first down as opposed to a deep shot like that. I would hope that they wouldn't just like snap that, like my thought was they were trying to dry them off sides, and if they got the 5-yard penalty, they just punt, and whether they decide to snap it, I don't know. But that's crazy.
Yeah, right.
That ending of that game.
And when he tried to defend it was bad too, but yes. Yeah. Just not good.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we move on though, because my other surprise team that I had was the Seahawks too, because I had them going in here just because I had them going 9-8, and I really thought that Sam Darnold in the new system that he would regress or there would be some growing pains or whatever. I did not expect him to be, especially in that game against Washington where they were just lights out. I mean, I know Washington's struggling, but I mean they executed everything almost flawlessly for like the whole first half. And Darnold, the connection that he's got with Smith and Jigba is like, it's been great for them. And JSN's really a serious wide receiver one. My concern for them would be if something happens to JSN, if he gets hurt, or you get some of these other teams that might wise up a little more and say, we're just going to take him out of the game. And then, the other receivers are more of deep, they're more deep threats. They're not the same. JSN's very good at running routes. He's very good at getting open and running into these things. So if they take him out of the game, I don't know who else on that team is really going to be able to pick up that slack. And I also think it's noteworthy that the trajectory that they're on right now is strikingly similar to Sam Darnold last year. And it's like Sam Darnold could only lose 5 or 6 games in 2 years and still not get to host a home playoff game because they have to play the Rams twice. So, I mean, those are going to be big games.
Yes, 100%. Watching them, I would expect them to lean on Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet a little bit more, but they are leaning into Sam Darnold playing in the passing game, and it's working. So maybe, if someone takes out, JSN, they lean on the run game a little bit more and try to make that move their offense. That's what I'm thinking, but they're just a sound football team right now, and they have just well-rounded. The Bucks, I am not as confident in them. I mean, they've had some late comebacks. I do like Baker. Injuries are really taking their toll with them, and you could see a regression there, and that they could fall out. Someone's got to win that division. It seems like, the Bucks got to handle it. Atlanta, you never know what you're going to get with Atlanta. They go and beat but they beat the Bills or whatever. Not that the Bills are all world or anything this year. I mean, they've just lost to the Dolphins, but and then the Atlanta will just go out and just lay an egg. They get blown out by Carolina. So you don't know like what you're going to get with them. And the Vikings, they're getting healthier on the defensive side. It's whether on the offensive line and what you're going to get from JJ. I'm just hoping that they, the rest of our division just start, eating each other up and just, one team doesn't, win. Like last year, the Vikings, when I just want these teams to start,
knocking
I
each
got to
other
take
off.
it week by week who I want to root for, right? Like who do I need to root for this week?
Well, there's plenty of games against each other coming up, so yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so I got to ask you. All right, I'm going to ask you. The next question is: if you look at this top 7, the Eagles, Seahawks, Lions, Bucks, Rams, Bears, Packers, who do you think falls out of that top 7 by the time we start looking at the playoffs? You can name 1, 2, or 0 teams, however you want to look at it.
I've just got one, and we already mentioned them earlier, but for me, it's the Bears. The defense is just rated so low. They only have 1 game left on their schedule against an opponent that's not currently like actively a playoff team, or in the playoff picture, I guess. But it's also just their wins are not convincing. Like Jackson Dart got hurt last week. They needed that to come back and beat the Giants. They beat the Bengals, and that was after a 58-yard touchdown with less than a minute left, which kind of was, a fluke. They beat the Commanders by 1. They beat the Raiders by 1. They lost to the Ravens when the Ravens didn't have Lamar Jackson. So, like, if I'm a Bears fan, I think I'm excited about Ben Johnson. I'm excited about where the season is or where the team is headed, but I wouldn't start, counting on buying home playoff tickets yet because I just don't think, I'm still not convinced they finish with a winning record. They play the Packers twice, the Eagles, the Niners. They still have to play us again, the Steelers, the Vikings. I mean, the only game that they have on the schedule that looks better or easier on paper is the Browns. And, so, I mean, I think the Bears are going to come crashing back to earth here.
Yep, I agree with you. That's what I have on there. Like I said, the Bucks scare me a little bit just because their wins, especially at the beginning of the season, were all late, and they couldn't come back in their latest games at the end of the game. And when you rely on those late wins, that just that isn't always going to be there. But they may be helped out by the rest of their division, and they, you could see them squeak in with just barely above 500 record. I could see that. I don't know, the NFC West is going to be interesting because you got the Seahawks and the Rams both at 7-2, right? And then you're like, could this be a repeat of what happened in the NFC North last year where you got 2 teams? But if we're talking about teams that could move into playoffs, I think the 49ers are going to be in there. Brock Purdy's going to come back. I know they're hurt on defense, but I really think the 49ers can move in. If you look at their upcoming schedule, like the next 3 weeks is at Cardinals, Panthers, at Browns. And then if you go 4 weeks out, it's Titans. So you got 4 very winnable games there. If they win those 4, they would be at 10-4. That's good. Now they end their season at Colts, Then they got the Bears and Seahawks. So really, if you look at it, they only really have at Colts and Seahawks are going to be tough games, but the rest of them are very winnable games for them. So I could see the 49ers moving in. Do you have a team you think the Bears are going to move out? So obviously a team would move in. Is there a team that you're looking at that would take that playoff spot?
Yeah, so I also I think the easy answer, the first one, would just be the 49ers because they're just outside right now and they're getting Brock Purdy back. Ayuk was on IR. He's supposedly going to be coming back soon, right? Pearsall, Fred Warner is still going to be out for the year. They still have obstacles to overcome, but they're still a good football team. And as you said, the schedule plays to their favor. They already played the Rams twice and they split the series with them. So the big game for them is going to be the Seahawks. And, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a close game, though, and that's going to be something they potentially could win. But the dark horse one that I have would be the Falcons. That's what I'm picking as like my dark horse, long shot, but not out of the question. So they're 3-6 right now, but I mean, some of these losses, they lost a close game to the Buccaneers right there at the end. They lost the Colts in overtime. They lost the Patriots, I think, by one possession. So, and their schedule, I think, is one of the easiest schedules left in the league. So they do still have to play the Buccaneers again, but I mean, they could sneak in by finishing, like you said, they could finish 9-8 and possibly win the division. They would need the Buccaneers to kind of, keep falling off and not being able to perform, not win those close games. So I don't necessarily see it happening, but I think that that's somebody to keep an eye on, as you already alluded to, that division.
Yeah, the Panthers, I just don't think they're going to be able to make a move. I mean, they're 5-5, but if you look at their schedule, they got at Atlanta, at 49ers, Rams, at Saints. They play the Bucks twice. So I mean, they could make up ground if they could beat them.
Exactly.
They play the Bucks, but at the last three games are Bucks, Seattle, at Bucks. I mean, that's going to be killer at the end of the season. But if you could make a playoffs if you beat those teams. I mean, that's like getting 2 wins, because you knock down the Bucks. So if they could go on a run, but I think that's going to be tough for the Panthers to move in. I'm not confident about the Packers, especially after Tucker Kraft went down. I know that people are like, oh, look at their defense is playing really well, but it was the Panthers and the Eagles are not lighting the scoreboard up this season. Their offense is obviously struggling, and the Panthers, and those were both at home, and they needed an all-world performance from Micah, like 2.5 sacks or whatever, to beat Arizona, and Arizona's got 3 wins this year. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not super confident on them either, but they, it would take Vikings to pass them up. Maybe that Cowboys is you're outside training for Quinn and Williams. They could go on a run, if they were going. Their offense is good enough to whether their defense is, going to be, and then, or maybe they're going to play with an emotional edge with Marshawn. Was it Marshawn Nealon? Right? Is that how?
Yeah.
I mean, they got that emotional. Sometimes depending on how they respond to that, like, is it something that they use as a rallying cry? I'm not sure. So that's interesting.
Good point.
But
I also think depending on how this game goes, the Eagles are imploding. This is going to be huge for them because it's also like, it seems like they've lost control of the team. The offense isn't working. I don't know. Something about the intensity. There's something different about the Eagles. Like, they're 7-2 right now, but it just doesn't feel like the Eagles last year. It just feels different. It feels off. And I don't know if the long season last year just took it all out of them, but also, it was weird for them to bring Brandon Graham back. I know that they had like the injuries and stuff like that, but I kind of feel like maybe that's a locker room leadership move as well, or they're just trying to get something going here. So I think this is going to be big for them. Like, a win against us would, solidify their spot on the top and make them all feel really good and feel confident like they can get it going. But if they come out and we embarrass them, which I hope and pray that happens, but if that was to happen, I mean, I think they're going to start falling apart.
Yeah, I don't know if I could see them falling apart, but Nick Sirianni is super emotional, and we're going to see plenty of him griping on the sideline Sunday, and it's going to make me want to punch my TV screen. I can tell you that. So we'll see. All right, let's quickly run through some of the categories. Midseason MVP. Let's just run through our picks on that. Who do you got for midseason MVP?
So I mentioned this last week, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about, because I had mentioned before that before the last game, I said that I thought Stafford looked like the front runner, but you were not fully on board, or you weren't fully convinced about that. And I just want to know who do you got your eye on, or who do you think is? It's harder now because he played he had another really, really good game, and he's got 13 touchdowns, no picks in the last couple weeks. But
yeah, no, he's definitely played well, and I went with a non-QB, so I realized that my pick is not likely because this is basically a QB award. But for me, Jonathan Taylor for the Colts, he is dominating. It's not like a fantasy only perspective. Like he is just like if you watch, he's making that offense go. I know, QB is making me. Yeah, but Daniel Jones. Yeah, he's playing. I mean, he's definitely playing good. But Jonathan Taylor's making that offense go. And to me, if I were picking, Jonathan Taylor would be my pick for MVP. I'm old school, and I look at if you take that player off the team, how would they fall apart or whatever. And I think that's how I would judge it. But I think Jonathan Taylor for me would be my pick. If I had a vote, I would vote for Jonathan Taylor for MVP.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. I don't like that the MVP is just automatically quarterback. I wish there was a way to fix that. But with that being said, I also am surprised that Daniel Jones, if you look at the betting odds, he's not in the top 5 or top 10 even. And I want to say, doesn't he lead the league in passing yards? Or he's close to
there.
He's close to leading. I don't think he's got as many touchdowns. His rating is pretty high. But in the team, the turnaround for the team, they give most of this credit to the quarterback. So maybe that's why he's not higher. It's just because of Jonathan Taylor playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, I was shocked when I looked at that. Yeah, because right now, Daniel Jones I don't even know if he's not even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, top 12. So he's out of the top 12. So he's behind Jordan Love, which is crazy to me.
The audacity.
Yeah, Jordan Love is plus 5,000. Goff is plus 2,800.
Right.
And he's now he just won't get up. He's going to have to go on a heck of a run for Goff to move up there, just because, like we said, the rushing yards. But Matt Stafford doesn't have. I mean, he will move, but he's not much more mobile than Goff. As far as using his legs for that type of game. But plus 260 on Matt Stafford. I don't know if I'm
not turning the ball over, and the team's been playing really well. So that's
right. Yep. No, and that's been always Stafford's issue was he could be dynamite, and I love Matthew Stafford when he was with the Lions, and I root for him, but I also could never expect him to not, screw it up at some point and just throw a pick six at a critical time. But we'll see. I mean, we're going to see him, so maybe we'll knock him out of the playoff race and catapult Jared Goff in that, in that matchup later on this season.
Sounds good to me.
Drake May is up there too, and Drake May's definitely got a case. That Patriots team's kind of going out of where he's got the underdog / where coach of the year goes to someone that's unexpected. And so I think when your expectations are so low and your team's doing well and you're playing way above expectations, that gives you the extra I want to vote for this guy for MVP because it was the long shot type thing. And so Drake May's got that going for him.
Right. He's third in yards, third in touchdowns, and the team's playing well. So, that's the difference. Yep. Daniel Jones does lead the league in yards, though. He's got 15 touchdowns, and Drake May's 19. But he's got 150 more yards. So it's a popularity contest. Yet? Remember, it's a
have they had their bye yet?
No, neither of them have. They both.
So that plays into it. If you go average yards per game, but I'm not going to get into that nitty gritty here. So let's move on to defensive player of the year. To me, this is clear cut. I really don't see anyone other than Myles Garrett being the front runner on this one, unless you got someone else.
No, I mean,
yeah.
barring an injury. I mean, or they're already chipping him. They're already trying to do whatever they can to slow him down, but they've got other threats on the defensive line also. So it's hard for offensive just to worry about Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
But 11 sacks, 36 pressures. Hutch has 57 pressures, which leads the league, but he just has not been able to get those sacks. And if he did, then he may be, making it more of a conversation. So there's still time. We'll still see.
Oh, there's definitely time. And the thing that's going to work against Myles Garrett is the team, right? They're not going to be in playoff contention where, these other guys like Micah, Aiden, that's up towards the top. Those guys are going to probably be in, in the playoff talk. And if you get like towards the late end of the season, they get a critical sack fumble or, you could see like especially like Thanksgiving Day, Hutch just takes out Jordan Love, gets a touchdown or something like that. You start getting that conversation like then, and then, Christmas, he has another breakout game where everybody's watching. Those type of things have big sway with national voters because
Right.
those are the games that everybody sees. If he breaks out on the Giants at 1:00 next week, or not this week, but the following week, that's not as noticeable as it is on Thanksgiving. So it's also going to depend on when he has that thing.
For sure. The
Regardless
numbers are
of where
one
Aiden-
thing, but the popularity thing is another. But I mean, the other
Yes.
thing that's like weird is Brian Burns has 11 sacks right now and 32 pressures, and he's not anywhere on this list. But Micah Parsons, who has less sacks and less pressures and a worse record than Aiden Hutchinson, I think right now is the second best odds, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but you got to remember, these are betting things, so they're going to just...
Right.
Micah's the thing. He just got traded, so he was going to be put up higher on there. That's kind of fool's money at plus 300 because, you're paying for the name. He's been good, but even Myles Garrett has just been, lights out. Maybe if Micah keeps tripping people, he will, keep going up on that list. All right.
Hutch whipped his leg out too. We can't even
knock
him.
He did totally. I think Hutch's was like different. I don't know, but whatever. He did get called for it and he saved a touchdown. So great play by Micah, right?
Yeah.
Offensive rookie of the year. I think Emeka Egbuka is just the obvious answer. I just don't even see anybody else. I mean, Jackson Dart, just because he's a quarterback, is probably, up there. But he's also, his team's won 2 games. Scadaboo's out, like his partner in crime. So they've lost, a weapon there. But Dart, for all that he's done, he's also made some critical errors and, basically caused some losses. Like in that Saints game, he played terrible. So, yeah, as of right now, Emeka Egbuka is clear-cut favorite.
I think that the path is there for Jackson Dart to steal it. He just would have to be healthy. I mean, if he's playing lights out and they win some games, especially like you said, a little bit later in the year, and he keeps doing well, I think he could overtake Egbuka, who has been playing great in the impact that he's made. Tampa Bay's had injuries. He stepped up. He's made some clutch catches, some highlight reel stuff that helps his case and everything. But my dark horse for this, too, is Tyler Warren. Like the Colts tight end has played really well. It's just that a tight end has literally never won Rookie of the Year. So he's not at a premium position here. So despite the impact that he's having, despite the fact the Colts are playing so well and everything, you're not going to overtake these other guys on here.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if Quincy Judson got drafted by a different team, like if he was on the Lions or something like that, man, I like the way that guy runs, and I think he'd be higher up on this list. Just from what I saw around watching him with the Browns, and I've watched a few other Browns games, I like the way he runs. And if he had a little better offensive line, I think that he'd have a chance up there. But just playing with the Browns, I don't think that's going to happen. All right. Defensive rookie of the year. Who you got? Who you looking at here?
This is kind of funny because no one is running away with this one. The top picks are the linebackers, Jihad Campbell and Carson Schlesinger. They both are rated high in Pro Football Focus. They've both been impactful for their teams, but I think Carson is hurt. So I don't know what's going on exactly with that. But I think that somebody is going to make a run at this one. I don't think that this is in the bag by any means. Like Abdul Carter, the Giants. I mean, right now, I think he's got like 1 sack. But I mean, there's so many games left. If he gets, if he finishes with 10 sacks this year, then I mean, that's he's going to be able to steal that. Same could be said for Mason Graham. Like if he starts showing out and doing some crazy things, but I don't know if you looked, but like it's wild if you've looked at every defensive player that was taken in round 1, almost all of them are either injured or they've just really underperformed. And that goes for Tyleek as well, just like not getting the opportunity, but also not doing what you would expect out of a first round pick. And the preseason favorite for this was Travis Hunter, and he's now out for the season, and he didn't really play that well when he was out there. So
No.
it's been a weird year for defensive player of the year. Who do you got,
My
though?
dark horse. Azaraku is my dark horse.
Okay.
In this category, just because
the opportunities there.
He could go on a run. Like that. That's what I'm saying. You could perform in the last few weeks. There is no clear cut on this. I mean, I think Carson Schlesinger was playing really, really well, but no one has taken over. And if Azaraku goes on, he gets, a couple big sack performances or just goes on a little bit of run here, that could catapult him. But yeah, there's no one in here that's like, oh my God, this guy's going to take it over. John Campbell, I know, is high rated. The Eagles, have a good record. If he might take it just because of where his team position is. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at on that. All right, Jacob, I think we're going to move over to our grit picks. I'll let you run through what we did. I'm going to share this and, all right, I'll let you run through what happened last week.
Lots of green for a change. Look at us, man.
Yeah.
So Thursday night football, Raiders at Broncos. We both picked the Broncos. I get double points because I said, and I played this for JJ the next day too, because you were shocked. You're like, oh, the Raiders, and just no chance. And like, hold on, pump the brakes. I made you think I was going to pick the Raiders, but I didn't. And I did say that it was going to be a closer game and that the Broncos were not going to cover the spread. It was not going to be as convincing, and it wasn't. And then you said it was because of the wind.
Yeah, it was the wind. The wind was crazy in that game. All right.
Right. That's why the Broncos started in the red zone and still were not able to score. Anyway, Broncos won the game. We both got that one right. Sunday night football, Steelers at Chargers. We both went with the Chargers. They won. And then Eagles at Packers. We both said the Eagles, and the Eagles were able to win a very bad game. So the standings thus far, I am 20-15. Jason is 18-17.
Yeah, sitting 2 behind. All right. We kind of, if you listen to our Eagles preview podcast, we've already, Jacob and I both picked the Patriots. And by the time we're recording this, Patriots have already won. But we did pick this before we announced it yesterday. Not a surprising outcome of this game. Jets trade away their 2 best defensive players, and the Patriots have been playing pretty good. All right, Jacob. So the next game is Sunday night, Lions at Eagles. Obviously, anyone that's listening to the show, we do not pick the outcome of the game. Jacob is super superstitious. So what we've come up with and what we usually do is pick an over-under. And I did over-under, and I picked JMO on this one of 69.5 yards. And I'll let you go, Jacob. Do you think JMO's going to have, 70 or more yards, or you think he's going to be under that?
I think this was the perfect pick for this one because this is going to be interesting. Because if they're feeding him like they did last week and they're really making sure that he gets the ball and gets these touches, then 69.5 yards is pretty obtainable. I don't know that we're going to do that every week. I think we have to keep the offense guessing. There's a lot of mouths to feed. And we definitely want to establish the run in this one. I feel like Amon-Ra is going to be the prime target. But the thing is, like 69.5, JMO could get that in one play, right? I mean, it's hard to go against that. I'm going to say over just because I really want to see it again for JMO.
Yep. I'm going over too. Dan Campbell picking the plays. I just think that, we're going to get him. Hopefully we can get him some space. And like you said, he could get him. If he can't get it in one play, he can get a vast majority of those yards in a big chunk, like, 40-yard play. So yeah, I'm going to go over on that one. So when I just picked 69.5 just because I try to read your mind about, I thought where would be the breaking point that we might be able to split on this. So that's why I came up with 69.5. And when I looked on DraftKings or wherever I looked at, the even bet, like minus 110 was 50 yards. So they have
wow.
him going lower. So, because I actually picked the number first and then looked at it, but I still felt comfortable with 6.5. I'm also going over to and this is just like you, wishful thinking. I'm hoping that it happens, but I know that if they want to take JMO out of this game, they have the defenders to do that. But I also confident that Dan Campbell will, adjust and we'll get we'll figure it out. We're going to go to Gibbs. We're going to, whatever. Amon-Ra. I do think Amon-Ra is going to have a good game in this one.
Right.
All right.
I just think you send JMO deep and open up Amon-Ra like we've been doing, and then time will tell how many cross routes or what how many touches JMO actually gets. But
yeah. All right. Next game, last game, Monday Night Football. Dallas Cowboys favored at 3.5 at Las Vegas Raiders. Who are you going with? Or do you want me to go first? I made you go first last time. So I am actually so there is the smart pick, which I know in my head would be the Cowboys. I am going with a gut pick on this one, and I am picking the Raiders in this one. I don't know why, but this is just like what my gut tells me to pick. So I'm going with Raiders in this one. What about you?
Fair enough. The Cowboys have not been able to stop anybody. Their defense, I think, is rated 31st. But luckily for them, the Raiders just cannot score. They cannot put points on the board.
I know.
That's going to be such an interesting dynamic for the Cowboys to have such a bad defense and the Raiders to have such a bad offense. But on the flip side of that, the Cowboys have been able to put up points pretty consistently. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I just think the Cowboys are going to outscore them in this one. So I am picking the Cowboys.
Yeah. I know that's a smart pick, but just something about me. It's in Las Vegas. I don't know. We'll see.
It's only a smart pick if they win, right? If they lose, then you had the smart pick. You had the wonderful insight.
Yeah. Well,
and if the Raiders lose, then you're just a big dummy.
Why would you pick the Raiders? The line is only 3.5 though. Which
right. Which is probably fair because what defense is going to show up, and you don't know. The Raiders are at home. We don't know exactly how this is going to look. This might finally be the time where Genty runs for 150 yards.
Let's do it. All right, man. It's been fun talking with you. It is like 12:30 in the morning. We are in the next day. This is the latest we've ever recorded. I had fun talking with you about this. I was wondering how this is going to go. I think we agreed on a lot of this stuff, but there was some really good back and forth and, about the playoff picture. It's really going to separate the next 4 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. You got anything else before we take off here?
No, man, I'm ready.
All right. I'm ready for Sunday Night Football. I know everyone that listens to this podcast, Lions fan, is definitely waiting for it. It's going to be a great game. Just going to be a great football game in general. And I'm really curious what Dan Campbell is going to look like in his glasses again.
Yeah.
All right, man. For Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's go, Lions.